Season 3 is proudly brought to you by AIA, a leading life, health and wellbeing insurer supporting healthier, longer, better lives. Protect what matters most and AIA will help you to do it for life. You're tuning into A Wake Up Call, which is your weekly dose of purpose packed with science-backed tools to beat burnout and boost happiness.
Hosted by us, Tess Brower and 7-time world champion Layne Beachley.
We're the founders of Awake Academy. This podcast mixes raw life lessons, expert wisdom and practical tips
to help you stop sleepwalking through life and start living it on your terms.
You ready to wake up and thrive?
Let's go.
Before we begin, we have a quick favour to ask. If this podcast has been landing for you, please hit subscribe and leave us a rating or review. It helps us grow the show and keep bringing these conversations to more people.
Today we are talking about what it really means to perform at its best, and sustained performance is the theme of this podcast. So welcome back, Dream Team. We have got the incredible Kieren Perkins. We're going to keep on calling him KP because we can't not. LB's husband is Kirk Pengilly and it's KP everywhere.
Yeah, you're all right with KP?
You're all right with KP?
That's what my friends call me.
Yeah, we're friends. Kieren, I'm just going to reflect and bring us into the room on a moment that I rewatched over the weekend, and I was trying to remember where I was, and I think it was very early in the morning when I saw this race unfold, and I remember waking my dad up for this moment. So I'm just going to play a couple of minutes and a couple of seconds of this, and then I'd love you to take us back to this moment in time.
Was down and out yesterday, and suddenly he stood up. He wanted it, shouted. He's talking goal. Back with 50. One of the great swims of all time. Kieren Perkins to get the time. This is all about showing. You are seeing the best of the best. You are a superstar, Kieren Perkins.
So we'll play the rest for everyone. That what he called out then was the courage. And I don't think that there is a moment that defines more courage than that for Australians at that point in time. Like, the Olympics are the elite of the elite, and everybody is looking for the stories, the miracles, those moments. And you created, can I just say, that was a masterpiece. I don't know why you bothered to fail in the final, semi-final, so you could come back and do that. Can you take us back to that moment in time? What was happening for you?
Well, can we just put context around the fact that what we're talking about is Atlanta? Yeah. The Olympic Games in Atlanta in 1996. Kieren
Only 30 years ago.
Lane 8. Only 30 years ago, exactly. Lane 8 is usually the lane where no one succeeds from. It's like you're the last qualifier for the Olympics, so you're usually ruled out. You were out of form. You were sick, I believe. Slowest qualifier. So let's, as Tess said, can you take us back to...
You just took all the jam out of it.
Sorry.
No, that's all right.
What happened? So let's. Gosh, there's so many moments to unpack. So let's talk about.
Let's go there.
How does it feel watching that vision again, and what does it bring up for you?
Look, it's a really fascinating one because actually that has come up a bit more consistently of late with the passing of the great Dennis Cometti, and obviously his voice narrated that moment and became such a integral part to I guess the story of the race and where it landed. And look, it's funny, you know, there's different parts of me that you need to ask that question. As the athlete, of course, I'm hypercritical and ripping it apart and don't ever want to watch it again because I've got all of these things that I know I could have done differently better and was, you know, it's parked, I moved on. I don't, you know, you almost don't care.
We refer to that part of you as the itty-bitty shitty committee.
Fair enough. Probably not so itty bitty, but it's there, and then of course, you know, the whole thing. Which then, when you sort of step back on it now with the time and context as well, you know, I'm much better at actually really narrating for myself with a level of self awareness that I could never have brought to the moment. About how actually this story started 2 years beforehand, where, you know, in 94 at the Rome World Championships and the Commonwealth Games, which were in Canada and on Vancouver Island, you know, I was still, I guess, in my own mind on the up. I hadn't won a world championship or a Commonwealth Games gold medal at that point. So being able to get those, complete the set of the big four that mattered, meant then that, what happened after that was I was thinking about 96, defending my Olympic title, having the opportunity to kind of reinforce that I deserved the first one, that it wasn't a fluke. And, and so I spent 2 years really, kind of thinking about this thing that was so far in the future that I wasn't taking care of today properly. And sport, especially Olympic sport, like you're talking fractions here. I know when I make those statements, it makes it sound a little bit like I was just, skiving off out the back, not training. Of course you do. You're there and you're doing the work because you're, you are fully engaged, but it's just those little 1%ers, even quarter of a percenter things where you're not quite as sharp, you're not quite as focused, or you're making choices along the way that, a couple of years ago you wouldn't have made because you were still so desperately hungry and chasing someone or something as opposed to defending, and all that sort of stuff that adds up to these moments where you're not quite as ready as you could have or should have been. You've got, like, you talk about injury and illness, those stuff existed, but I'm pretty personally unforgiving around that stuff, because you're only ill or injured when the Olympics come around because you're not prepared, not because of bad luck. There's no such thing. And so you go through all of that and you work out all of those things added up to this moment where, I'd made the final. I knew I had to race to defend my Olympic championship, and there was a moment a couple of hours out from the race where you kind of have this, I don't know, coming to Jesus or whatever you might call it, where I just realized, I was in this mindset where I was thinking about all of the things that I believe this now meant, the consequences of failure or the benefits of success, and all of those things came through, and all of it was rubbish. All of it was complete crap, and all of it overwhelmed actually what mattered most, which was that intrinsic personal satisfaction of have I done my best? For me as an individual, my whole career, it didn't matter whether I win, lost or drew, because I lost a lot more than I ever won. I knew that, when I kind of went home that night and was laying in bed on my own in my own thoughts, would I be comfortable and happy that I did my best? And if I did my best, life's good, pat on the back, learn, grow, keep moving forward. But if I haven't done my best, then, rightfully unhappy and disappointed in yourself. And, you go through these things as a junior athlete, you're learning, you're growing, you're getting better and better and better. And then, you get to senior level, best in the world, and all of a sudden you think you, for some reason, should do it differently, or better, or those things that made you sharp and focused and so capable the first time around, you take them for granted and set them aside and don't really pay attention to them the way you used to, which not surprisingly leads to a less than ideal outcome.
So incredible. So you're in the Olympic Village. You're having, we call them like the dark night of the soul, but you only had like less than 8 hours to pull yourself together for that race. What do you do in that moment? Because that's like, we call this the high performance that people don't see happens when you're behind the door. Like when you're under the blanket, when you're looking in the mirror. What was that? And for our listeners, like, learn through Kieren right now, because we all have these moments we're on the edge of greatness, so we've got something that we're about to achieve. What did you do? How can we learn through you?
So a lot of it is actually reliant on process. I mean, by the time I got to that level, of course, I'd practiced this thousands and thousands of times, from sort of 8, 9, 10 years of age, where you first start swimming and you first start competing in lots of different sports, to be honest, and you work your way through, you build up this capability, right? And so then I get to the Olympics, didn't swim great in the heat, but made the final. And then that roller coaster ride of, okay, I've got to I've got to go through process. I've got to, do my warm down, speak to the media, get back to the village, eat, sleep, get up the next morning and do whatever prep's required, blah, blah, blah. So you've got these things and you can use those to an extent. Like, one of the things that a lot of us get really good at, and I certainly am extremely good at, is compartmentalizing. The thing that I'm doing right now consumes your attention and focus in a way that means that all the other stuff just goes away. And which, is a luxury when you're competing at Olympic level sport, right? You can actually do that. And so, I had these processes to distract myself around. But if I'm really honest, in that sort of from the heats the day before to getting to the final, there was some really significant ups and downs from that kind of build-up of stress and emotion response of, she'll be right, mate, don't worry, just a bad day yesterday, you got this, it'll be fine, through to absolute despair that your life's going to be over because you're going to fail, in front of the world. And I often say at these moments where you go, if I don't win, Mum won't love me anymore, and Mr. Carew, my coach, will never talk to me again, and all of these consequences that you build up, which is all panic, right? Like it's your amygdala hijack, fight or flight instinct has gone into flight, and so up and down, up and down, up and down. But probably the baseline was just distraction through process. Until I got 3 or so hours out, I got to the pool before the session to prepare for my warm up. Was getting a bit of a physio treatment just to, once over to make sure everything was where it needed to be. And as I was laying there, in this quiet moment, I started the build up of adrenaline and panic, right? Like I'm starting to really quite stress about what's going to happen. And as this built up and, my heart's pounding in my chest and I'm starting to sweat while I'm just laying there, I got to this moment. I wish I could tell you that it was some kind of genius of enlightenment that came from a moment of self-awareness, but that's not true, of course, because when you're in the middle of that hardcore adrenaline moment, your cognitive capacity is massively diminished. But I had this moment, again, a process where I've gone, what the hell are you doing? If you stay this nervous and this worked up, you'll be exhausted before the race even starts. It's like competition 101, right? A little bit of nerves is good. In the corner vomiting is bad. You'll absolutely be exhausted before you've even had your chance. And so
that in itself, KP, is self-awareness.
Yeah. And look, there is no doubt that, you have these moments peek through, right? And I think the thing that for me is interesting when I look back on it is that I could have dismissed that moment, right? Like I could have had that thought pop into my brain and then immediately moved past it because of other overwhelming things. But it hit me like a train and I've gone, God, what are you doing? As a 9-year-old, you never got this nervous. You learned how to control these things. You absolutely need to stop this. How did you used to do it before? And it was asking myself that simple question that just triggered this explosion of kind of awareness that, I have to calm down. I have to disassociate. I've got to get myself into a better space. Well, what did I used to do? Distract myself, get up, walk around, talk to someone about anything other than the Olympic Games and my final, to calm down. And it's physiology, right? Like once you switch off the trigger in your brain that's producing the adrenaline through your fight or flight instinct, you then need time for the adrenaline that's in your system to metabolize and get out of the way. That then gets your heart rate under control, that then gets you back into full cognitive control, that then lets you go, right, I'm calm again, I'm back. Now, what is the things I used to do as a kid that enabled me to stand on the blocks every time I raced and know with absolute clarity of certainty that I would perform my best right now? And there was a whole checklist that I went through, reinforcing in my own mind that I'd done the training, I'd done the work, I understood my race plan. I was all the bits in me that I needed as tools to get me, to help me perform were there. I knew I had all of those. And so there was just then that last minute of, okay, well, if you're fit, you're strong, your technique's good, your strategic strategic plan's great, blah, blah. If all that's there, then what are you worried about? What do you need? And that was that last step of, I need to remember that the only thing that matters right now for me in the outcome of this race is that I've done my best. And if I've done my best, doesn't matter whether I've come last, first, or anything else in between, then I will absolutely be able to go home at night, look myself in the mirror and go, you couldn't have done any more today. And I think that's always that thing that I've, got better at articulating, that I've taken away, that, when you hit these moments of performance, these moments of stress, you can't create more capability or more potential in that moment. The training and the work and the preparation, all of those things that add up to who you are right in this moment, that is all of the potential that you have. And your only job in that moment is to know how to get that potential out of yourself and deliver it, and not have less of your potential available to you because of the nerves or the stress or the other things, the self-talk that might get you into a spiral and put you into a place where your ability to get the best out of yourself is diminished. And it's all up here. I mean, it's one of the things that I often find interesting, when when you look at Olympic competition like that, and Layne, you would know this yourself, when you line up the 8 finalists in an Olympic final, side by side by side, the differences between those physical specimens, their capability, their talent, the workload that they've put in, the quality of the people around them that have helped them get to that moment, the differences between all of that, when you get from the whole world of potential humans who might be here to the 8 that are actually lined up, there's not a measurable difference in the human beings and in the animals and the machines that are there. The measurable difference in what creates the outcome of that moment in that performance in that race is absolutely what's going on in your brain, and your brain's ability to deliver your potential then and there when it matters most. And I look back on it in some respects and know that all of those years and years and years of work that I did, because I was, 96, I'd got to do the quick maths, but I'd certainly been, competing at a dedicated level in my sport for, 12, 14 plus years. There's no inventing new capability in that moment. There's getting it out of yourself, and all that practice, all that work, and all that skill, and all that time you put into it, it's got to be dedicated to giving you the tools when it matters most.
The new skill that you actually needed to apply in that moment was letting it all go, right? It was actually trusting in your instincts, trusting in your ability, trusting in your team, trusting in your processes. I don't know whether I've heard you say this or it's just rhetoric around the experience, but there was this realization that you said that you'd taken all the fun out of it because you put so much pressure on yourself. Is that true? Was the fun? Firstly, I want to know, how the hell do you have fun sprinting for 1,500 meters?
Following a black line.
But secondly, is that a situation where you went, you know what, I've put so much pressure on myself, there's no joy in this anymore?
Look, to dedicate yourself to an activity like that for years and years and years and years and years, you do actually have to, at its core, love what you're doing. Like, nobody can be forced to be excellent in that environment if they don't actually want to be there. And I mean really want to be there. Like, don't get me wrong, there are many, many days you turn up and you'd prefer to be anywhere else, right? You just I'd much prefer to be in bed or out with friends doing, like, there's always choices that you're making along the way, and some of them you make begrudgingly, but on balance, in overall context, you really, really, really have to love it. And when you get to that point where the pressure and the stress and the nature of a moment like that does get you to the point where you don't want to be there. And I mean really, really at your core, like, I just don't want to be here. That's not good, right? Like, that's not the place that you should be. And so, you can articulate it as fun, and it's one of those ironies of we're all different, right? Like I marvel at those people who talk about their sporting careers and talk about how they were afraid to lose and they only did it for the competition because the competition was what gave them the juice and drove them. I only competed because it was a moment to prove that all the stuff that I'd been doing was worthwhile. What I actually really loved was the training and the time with team and the effort and the progression, like every day turning up and knowing that you were getting a little bit better and having something to work on to help you improve and keep inching your capability and your overall capacity forward. And so when you then get in the race, it's like, oh, ta-da, this is how good I've got in this moment. But it hurts, don't get me wrong. Like you've got to, it is 1,500-meter sprints in that context as you put it out there, and knowing how to hurt yourself and love it and be really like physically hurt yourself and love it and be really engaged in that is that for me was kind of the juice in the core. And I can tell you when I look back on my career as a whole, like when you look at everything in its entirety, the bits that I love and remember most were those things that were, for instance, the times when, you'd go home after a big day, get in bed exhausted and, can't sleep because my shoulders are hurting so much and my neck's bad. And it's like, you just have a wry little smile to yourself and go, I put in today. I deserve it. This was absolutely great. And it's no different to the races. If you get out of the race and you didn't feel like you were absolutely 100% gone, that there was just nothing left in you, man, you'd be angry about the lost opportunity and the wasted time. That was not good.
2 years prior to winning at Atlanta, you smashed the world record at the Com Games. And I must admit, watching that vision, you didn't even look like you had a sweat going. Like, you didn't even look like you were puffed. You got out, you're like celebrating it, yeah. Talking to your competitors who you just absolutely smashed to the pool. It's like, you don't even look like you're puffing. Like, what's going on there? So, yeah, I understand that.
You get that.
I do.
Yeah. KP, I've starting to understand and fundamentally know why you're the man for the job for the next Olympic Games that are in Australia. Is it Brisbane
2032?
32.
Yeah.
Because people are obsessed, and we work with a lot of high performers in the corporate world. So we like to call them corporate athletes. Australians love to draw parallels between corporate high performance and sporting superstars. Because it's like, if I can learn that edge and if I can unlock greatness in what you guys are doing, then I'm going to succeed in my corporate life.
Because for most successful athletes, we're also doing it in a public stage, whereas most corporates are not.
Well, it's public within their own world, isn't it? Yeah. So how do you apply all of those lessons and tools to up-and-coming athletes? You've had a career in the corporate world at NAB. How did you translate everything that you learnt there into everyday human like me, general public life?
Look, to be really frank, it's not easy. I mean, I think, one of the things that we often kind of overlook is that every athlete, regardless of how successful your career was, or how successful you look right now, post your transition, the transition is epically difficult. Every single one of us struggle, and it's a journey. Some people, publicly troll the depths, and others of us are able to do it sort of quietly on our own or with great support around us to help us get there. And I think one of the things that I became a lot more appreciative of and worked out as I went through my own transition in that regard, but then, working in a corporate environment, found myself in a space where, you're trying to build the sense of validity of the skills that you've got, the experience that you've had, but working out how to translate it so that people who haven't had any of that experience, who haven't had any of those life lessons in an obvious way, because we all have them. I just think the thing with sports people, because when you get to the elite dedicated level, because you're so focused in it and you're an adult, it's a lot more easy to see the things that matter and grab onto them and work on them and develop them in a really conscious and thoughtful way. Whereas when you're a kid, you just learn and you get experiences, but it's more intuitive and you don't necessarily attach it to actual skills that you can develop. But, getting into that corporate environment, it became really clear to me that, while sport's a great analogy and sport provides really fabulous lessons and opportunities for people to work out how they might approach, their own competition or their own, life of development and success. There are also, though, some really significant differences that if you don't know how to acknowledge and navigate those, it can be extremely difficult to, really help people journey through. And it's fascinating how they all express. I mean, like the NAB one, being in the corporate environment in sales teams, one of the things that became really obvious to me that was fascinating in the difference between how a corporate world was kind of set up versus how an athlete might approach it. In the corporate world, there's no finish line, right? Like every customer interaction, every day you turn up, every moment of things that are going on, like it's just this role. Like there's very, very rarely these moments where everybody gets to stop and say, hey, we've just embarked on this journey that's taken us X period of time. We're done. Let's go celebrate and do nothing for the next week. Like it doesn't work that way. You even at the end of the financial year, all your targets and everything gets set back to zero the very next day, and you're off again. Like nothing's ever happened. And so, being able to call those moments out is really difficult. And then what tends to happen with that role as well is, and you see it in a lot of really motivated leaders, this kind of thing of, every Monday morning they'd get the sales numbers of the week before because it'd take the data to come through a little bit of time. And you almost had this moment where you knew, right, is the boss happy, angry, absolutely losing their mind? What is the mood of the boss today? And that mood is going to be 100% driven by the sales outcome that's happened this week, or like that we've found out today from last week in that small zone. And so I used to look at this and go, this is just nuts. Like nobody can live a roller coaster like that. Like the amount of energy that you just destroy within yourself and the teams and the people around you on this up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down is crazy. Taking it back to more of an athletic mindset, which of course is we're on a journey here. And in that journey, there will be good and bad. Stuff will work, stuff won't. We assess, we pivot where we need to, but we also have faith that if we do all these agreed things that we set out, that we set up at the start of the year. So we've got to say it's a 12-month cycle, and you go, right, this year we're going to work on these 5 things. And if we do these 5 things exceptionally well, we trust the outcome will occur. And as an athlete, you just keep working on those 5 things, right? Like with your coach and your all your performance support people, you work. And you don't necessarily get caught up too much in the sub competitions or the training moments where it might have gone bad or good in terms of, assessing the validity of the strategy in a full stop kind of way. It's more of an evolutionary, okay, that seems to be going well. That's not. We could pivot here. We could adjust there, but we're on the track, and we know the track's the right track, and we trust it. And we just keep going because we're absolutely committed to being focused on getting to that light on the hill. And so resetting some of our psychology around that, yeah, sure, the sales numbers on a Monday morning are really important, but you don't have an absolute tantrum and lose your mind if they're bad, because actually there could be 20 reasons why they're bad. What you need to do is assess and understand them.
Well, there'll also be 20 reasons worse. if the boss gets up there and yells at everyone, they're going to go down even more.
Yeah.
Crushes everyone. But it also goes on the flip side when it's really good. And this is one of the things I found really hard to find the right way to articulate with people often, because like one of the things that happens in business is like businesses almost got every individual one's almost got its own circadian rhythm, where actually sometimes things will look really good, and it's because you have done absolutely nothing other than just existing. And the market or your customer base or the seasons or whatever will just contribute in its circadian rhythm of flow of life to a moment. And being able to sort of stop people and say, hey, before you start patting yourself on the back and pretending like you're some kind of genius who's unlocked the secret of the universe that's made you the greatest of all time, can I point out that actually in the last 6 months, you've done fuck all to contribute to this and you're just lucky. We need to understand why you're lucky, take advantage of it and make sure that we continue to roll on it. But let's still have a really honest and sensible conversation about actually how much you can own in this and how much your contribution is really delivering on this. Because, you know, as an athlete, I would have always preferred to say, I would much prefer to see someone working hard, doing all the things that they know they need to do, and absolutely committing every day to getting the job done, and then failing and not succeeding, but being proud on knowing they'd given it a red hot crack, than winning accidentally and getting it for no good reason other than, you know, you just happen to be in the right place at the right time, which, you know, let's be honest, is 99% of business as well. So it's the contrasts are really interesting, but don't get me wrong, you know, I absolutely agree with you that the managing yourself, the knowing how to navigate complexity, knowing how to navigate interpersonal relationships to help support and understand what leadership looks like and how you deliver that leadership and the difference between a job title and actually the values and behaviors you exhibit every single day and the way you just show up. All of that stuff, like that's just like athletes just do that without even thinking. Like, you know, I don't know about you, Layne, but there were times in my career where I found myself absolutely losing my mind with someone, and I couldn't really work out why this person was just absolutely driving me nuts until much later, where I kind of gone, oh, of course. Because, you know, they were lazy or they were really negative all the time and bitching about everything being wrong or it's not going to work or I can't do this or why am I here or whatever else, that you knew instinctively that their attitude was dragging everybody else down around you, because negative emotions are much, 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 much more contagious than positive ones. And just losing kind of just intuitively your like your sense of, no, I don't accept this. I'm not going to let this be the context of how my life is being run. And you need to get out of here, change or get out of here, because that's not what I need from the people around me and not what I want to display to the people around me as well. And so, you know, all of those kind of things, just they're so powerful and they're so valuable. And it's actually why athletes, given the right opportunity to build the technical skill sets for a new career they might go into or a new industry they might go into, having the time and space to build those technical skills, because the soft skills of getting the best out of yourself, leadership, et cetera, is so strong. You just got to know what that thing is that you're going to reapply it to and how to reapply it.
And the thing around all of that, KP, is that we don't always get it right. So we have these internal barometers, these values that drive our behaviours, and we have our support crew, and we have our objectives and our ideals and the goals that we may be working towards and the processes. But then something just stops working. Or we let something go by the wayside. And you talk about having open and honest and valuable conversations, especially with people that you appreciate their I don't know, just the way that they think or the way
their
they live,
advice.
you know, you respect them. Yeah, and their advice, and you're willing to listen. So in an open and honest way with you went from being a super fish to what I refer to as a super whale. Right? You you neglected your health and well-being. You fell into that treadmill of life where you were just following in the, I don't know what what happened with you, but it seemed like for me from watching you, because I've watched you a long time, you let yourself go and follow something that wasn't really true to you. How did you navigate that period where you started to realize actually the process that I'm following and the people that I'm listening to are not serving me, in actual fact they're sabotaging me? How did you take back that ownership of your life and find your way back to health and vitality and quality leadership?
Yeah, look,
Can I give you a moment to think about that, KP? Just what I love about high performers is you guys just call it out as it is. And you just like, this is the mentality that I've had to learn is like someone calling you out is love. Like it truly is love and respect to say, hey, what happened or what's going on for you? So I just wanted to honor you both. Hearing you now, I rewire my brain to say like high performance takes an edge where you have to look in the mirror and say, is this good enough, or how can I change, or get rid of that person? Like that is really what it takes. So I'm really acknowledging both of you for being that to each other as well.
Yeah,
so
thanks.
KP, take us through it.
It's hard. And people,
it is.
I know it's what I have a gift at upsetting people with my honesty. Happy to get upset with me.
Well, that's the thing. It's because I know you and I trust that, you're not making a judgment on who I am as a human being. You're making a judgment on what I'm doing. And I think that's one of the things that, really significantly underpins it. Like you hear, like footy teams, I'll say, play the ball, not the man, right? Because if you're playing the person, it's personal, it's destructive, and it's it's not being given with a level of trust and love and respect that makes it easy then for that person to engage. Whereas if you're playing the ball, it's about, okay, what are we doing and how are we doing it? I can give you constructive feedback, which is harsh and honest and in a lot of environments. And that's something I had to learn in the work environment, I might add, because you can't do that with people that haven't come from our background. They don't take it well. Yeah. Is recognizing that it's not a dialogue about who you are as a human being or whether I love you or not or think that you're valuable or not. It's your behaviors and what you're doing, and so it's a difficult thing to navigate, I might add, because we're also human beings. So we all have days where someone will say something to you and you've got to stop for a second and go, no, that wasn't a personal attack. They're actually calling me out, and I'm probably mostly angry because I know they're bloody right and I don't like being told how to suck it. But look, Layne, the reality is for me, and that was part of that life art, like the transition to retirement piece. So I was one of those athletes that when I stepped out of the pool in Sydney, that was it. I was done. I'm not swimming anymore. I've had enough. I've done, for 20 plus years, I've dedicated every day of my life to seeing how good I could get. I've answered all those questions. And so there's no challenge left in it. There's no activity left in it that's kind of gratifying or valuable, and so I am done. I'm just out of it, and that's just me, because there's other guys in the team that I swam with during that time who never stopped. Like it's part of their daily life and well-being that they still need, and I get that, and it's. But for me, yeah, for me it was out, and so then there was the initial kind of, oh, thank God I can rest. And then that unfortunately sort of evolved into a, not, I guess, being forced to consciously break the cycle of, okay, now you need to get going again and get your health and fitness back under control. And as Layne would know, because she, we socialised and lived in the same area for a period of time there when we were in Sydney. I started trying lots of different things to try and find the thing that I could engage with. That's something that I could get going. And it was really hard because, let's be brutally honest, I'm epically uncoordinated and don't have a whole lot of, natural talent for any activity whatsoever, including swimming. I'm a worker. I need to work to build my skill and build my capability, and there will be breakthroughs along the way which are valuable and I love, and they get me into that point. And I really struggled to find a thing that that satisfied that. And so from a health perspective, like, I can chart my journey, and there's an element of this which is really unhealthy about the athletic experience as well, in that I can tell you exactly how much I weighed at whatever point in my life from sort of mid-teens till today. And so I've always gone on this kind of journey where, I'll stop exercising, I'll put on weight really quickly, I'll get grumpy about it, and then I'll start exercising again, and my weight flatlined. I never actually, and even as an Olympian, I never actually worked out how to lose weight. I was always very good at consolidating and not losing. And unfortunately, that meant that when I retired and I wasn't swimming and I wasn't focused, and life, kids, work all sort of got in the way of, real kind of accountability. That journey just got me to a really poor point. And it was post-COVID, so I actually lost quite a bit of weight. And context for those in the universe. So I by the time I hit my peak weight, I was about 40, 45 kilos heavier than I raced when I finished my athletic career, which I'd argue is I'll never be that light again. That was silly, but just in terms of the growth, and it took me, I don't know, it probably took me 15 years to get there. I got on the bandwagon, really took care of things for a period there, and over about 18 months, I lost about 18 kilos, which was good. COVID came around. I ate and drank my way through COVID, living in Melbourne, locked in the house and all that sort of stuff, put it all back on again. And then for about a year after that, tried to do what I'd done before and it didn't work. And so got to that point of really anger with myself for being in this position. And again, it's one of those moments of, oh my God, I can't believe it took me this long. I got to a point where I went, nothing I'm doing is working. So I clearly don't have the skills to take care of this. Maybe I should get help. And so I went to my GP and said, hey, I got a thyroid problem or something. You need to do some tests on me here and tell me what's medically wrong with me so I can take a pill and fix this. When he stopped laughing at me, he said, I'll do the blood tests, but I'm here to tell you there ain't anything wrong with you other than your lifestyle. Whatever. Anyway, did all the tests. Yeah, of course. Problem. Exactly. Did the tests. Surprise, surprise. Medically, nothing wrong with me. And he said, look, you need to go get some proper help. I'll send you down the road here. So I went to a different specialist, and the specialist worked with me on actually understanding what my triggers were. And it's kind of fascinating. This is just me personally, but it's the journey that I went on, where my reflex when I started wanting to lose weight was two things. One, to starve myself, and two, to exercise. And so that immediately triggered within me a physical response built off 20 years of being an athlete, doing, volumes of work that you could never consume enough calories to support. Hence why athletes doing that level of physical output supplement and eat as much as we do. Triggered a response of my body immediately going, oh my God, we're exercising, so we need every single calorie conserved because you're going to need that at some point. So even though I was starving myself, what I did eat, my body just held on to for grim death. And then when I'd exercise, I wasn't able to, do enough to shift that balance to then get the calorie deficit to work for me. And so the first thing the doctor got me to do was stop exercising entirely and get my eating under control, actually get my diet right, eat properly, but eat the right volumes of food in a way that supports actually where you're at, and do incidental stuff. So walk up the stairs, don't use the elevator, escalators, all those sorts of things. So I still had to be active, but not go for a run or jump on the boat and row or do those things that get your metabolism going. Oh my God, we're an Olympian again. We better harvest all our calories. And so, really resolving my diet, no alcohol, really low calorie, carbohydrates, more protein, only fresh food, get rid of all the processed stuff, and drink lots and lots and lots of water, and use that as a mechanism to help kind of satiate my hunger. It took, I would say conservatively, 2 years of doing that to get to a point where actually I could eat a meal and feel full. Like I'd never experienced that as an athlete. I would eat so much food. I would never in my life feel full. I could just eat, uncontrolled, and never feel full. And I actually worked out what that felt like and what that meant, which then meant I could manage and continue to maintain diet while introducing, some more physical activity and exercise. And look, don't get me wrong, I'm not going to run marathons tomorrow, or I certainly don't have the right to say that I'm a really athletic human being. But I'm really careful to make sure that I am always active. I'm doing enough strength and movement exercises to make sure that I manage, because I'm in my 50s now, and so I'm aware that I need bone density strength. I need my cognitive capacity, and so managing your mental health and things is really triggered and key to that. And for me, it's about general movement. That's what I can sustain and own, and keep my diet under control as well. And I ended up losing over 30 kilos, and I've kept it off.
Wow.
Well
Wow,
done, KP.
congratulations.
Very proud of you, my friend.
Do you know, the theme that I'm picking up on, and normally we end, we're partners with AIA Vitality, and we normally end with a Do It for Life toolkit. And I feel like that was it, because we all want a quick fix, a pill. I've gone through my own weight journeys, and I'd never stopped to consider the physical triggers. Like for me, it was all emotional. It was all blanketing, like suppressing feelings and emotions, like Band-Aiding. But I can totally see how our bodies are trained for 20 years to think and do a certain way with food, that when you take that away, you have to rewire your brain. And you said you don't run marathons, KP, but the life marathon, to relearn, retrain, like that is greater than any, like any world title, in my opinion.
Greater than an Olympic medal.
Yeah.
Well, and it's understanding that it is a lifestyle. I mean, that was one of the things this doctor said to me when I first went to her. She said, if you're looking to go on a diet and then go back to what you were doing before, let's not waste everybody's time and money. Just don't bother. Yeah. You need to approach this from, this is going to be my lifestyle going forward, and this is how I'm going to live. And to be honest, I mean, that's daunting for anybody to contemplate that you're going to make such a significant change to the way you live, and that's it. But I'm well and truly at that point now where not only am I happy and comfortable with that, but it's enabled me to acknowledge and trigger and see joys in things that I would have completely walked past and ignored before, and not in any way accepted or acknowledged as being really wonderful, valuable, great things that occur in your life. And whether that's something as simple as so, like, I mean, in the context of what we were just discussing, so food, like, honestly, I ate to fuel myself, and so I would inhale food. Like I could down a plate of food before everyone else at the table had got through their third bite. Actually, when you eat something real, like you go to a restaurant now and you eat something that's been expertly prepared, and you go, oh my God, the flavors in this, just that. Or you eat something that you've never had before, and you get that experience of actually being in the moment and acknowledging, oh my God, this is incredible. Or the other one that I really notice, and this also could be just because I'm getting old, but I live in Melbourne, and I'm not far from the Treasury and Fitzroy Gardens, and years gone by, to get from my home to, say, the MCG, for instance, which is about a 15-minute walk, years gone by, I would have got a tram or a cab or driven. Whereas now, I will always walk. And when I walk through the park and go, man, this is beautiful. Can you believe there's, like, we're in the CBD, there's the birds that are chirping, and they've changed the garden beds. And I know it sounds benign and it's silly, but I tell you what, just being present, like, it's good. And it is one of those things that, you realize that as an athlete, you trained yourself to be forcibly present all the time, because it mattered so much in your ability to get stuff done. And then as an adult, out of life, in the mire of all of the things that just absolutely suck in and absorb your capacity and attention, you lose that. And it's And yeah, it's wonderful to be able to kind of kick yourself every now and again and go, just look up. Look up, for God's sake. Look what's around you. You know, it makes it all a lot more worthwhile.
Yeah, I'm actually wearing one of our shirts, which is "Be Where Your Feet Are." And it's for that exact moment. Like when you're out of discipline, your inconsistency, when you're out of like absolute self shaming because of everything you should and could and need to be doing, and you're actually doing it. There's a certain freedom and a peace where when you look up, you feel the joy of life. And that is so beautiful when you get to that place of being, not the doing.
And you know,
so ironic.
Sorry, I just apologies. One thing I'd like to add to that, because I actually have a deep belief about this as well, and it's also being able to apply it in those environments which aren't necessarily the space where you're tied up in the depths of your passion. You know, we hear people all the time talking about how important it is to follow your passion, follow your dreams, do the thing. Now, and that if you can do that and you're able to do that in a way that, you know, makes you money and helps you pay for your lifestyle and support the people that you love around you and all that sort of stuff, then hey, knock yourself out. That's great. But actually, for the vast majority of humans on the planet, and I mean the vast majority, actually, we're all going to be engaged in doing something which isn't really our passion in life. You know, we've got realities that you just have to contend with. And if you can find ways to be present when you're doing that thing that actually isn't the most exciting or important or engaging thing in your life, but it's the necessary thing, it's the thing that you need to do to enable you to be able to then otherwise go do the things that you'd love to do. If you can apply that same sense of presence and that same ability to actually find and acknowledge the little things that are valuable and joyous in it, man, life's so much easier and so much better. Because I've met very few people in my life that actually work in a job that 24/7 everything they do is rainbows and unicorns of joy. Like all of us have stuff that we have to do that's no fun, but if you can still be present and find the moments, life is a lot more successful.
Yeah,
we
it
actually
sure
do
is.
have a pill for that. It's
Yeah,
called
we
Wake Up. And it really actually helps you narrow your focus and your attention into that
There's
moment.
a study that was done around who has the worst job in the world, do you know, and how do they, and it came down to like hospital cleaners and like any cleaner in general.
Janitors.
But the happy ones, the ones that thrived, were the ones that found the purpose in those moments. So it's actually cleaning to save a life.
Yeah.
And then the other one that they did was they put wristbands with step trackers and heart rate monitors and all the rest of it on hotel cleaners, and they gave them a target of calories to burn, and they reframed their brains to say like, this is about weight loss and lifestyle, and they cleaned better, they were happier, they got through, they were more productive, and they burnt more calories. So it's just reframing the positivity of the things you just have to do to put food on the table, but making it about joy. KP, what a lesson of wisdom, of truth, of identity. I know our Dream Team members are listening today and thinking, what a man, what a human. I know you're remembered for the guy in the pool who came back from lane 8, but today you've changed in my mind from the man that when rubber hit the road, you redefined your life. And that is a big inspiration. I was nervous when you asked that question, LB. It triggered me.
Yeah, it didn't.
Yeah, it really did. Because I think because I've been on the comeback journey myself, and but being kind is being straight with someone.
Yeah.
And the
and
way
as KP said, I wasn't judging the man. I was judging the behaviours and asking him to do things a little bit differently because I care about him. I wanted to be around a whole lot longer.
Yeah.
And the way he was going about living life was not going to offer me that opportunity. So I was being a bit selfish because I want to hug you more.
Yeah, we want to hug you.
No surprise.
So thank you for your time. Kieren, how do people follow your journey? Are you big on LinkedIn? We want to hear from the man himself. Where can people see more of your journey?
I'm going to disappoint you enormously, Tess. So yes, I am on LinkedIn, but it's a corporate account that's managed by my wonderful team here at the Australian Sports Commission. So you'll get less of unfiltered me and more of appropriate corporate me. But look, I'm happy to engage in these conversations all I can. But I'm not of the social media generation that provides constant content to fill the universe. I'm a consumer when it comes to that. So seeing you out and about, come and say hello.
We will, and we will follow the Australian Olympic team because I know that we are in a wonderful place with you leading.
Well, he's not head of the AOC, he's head of the Australian Sports Commission.
Yeah,
but either way, I do have one final question.
Yeah.
Is what are you most looking forward to when it comes to Brisbane 2032?
Look, for me, it's actually the way that the nation as a whole will come together around that moment. Like it's just one of those things. And I was fortunate enough to compete in Sydney, so I remember what that was like for the good and the bad that came with it. But there was 2 weeks, 4 weeks with the paras added on, where Australia was proud of itself. And Australia was connected to itself, and Australia was able to set aside all of the petty divisions and the idiotic politicking and things that go on. That at the moment you would say we're in a bit of a death spiral of fear and loathing and segregation, which is just awful and absolutely not an environment that I want to live in. I know when 32 comes around, for that period of time, we will experience the very, very, very best of ourselves, and we will be engaged fully and proud of, the 800 Australians who will be competing on the field of play, representing us ably, and not only through their incredible performances, but the humble and grateful personalities that we'll see shine through, that show that, those moments where they've delivered what they've delivered and they've represented their country have been an expression of all of us. And that's pretty awesome to think that we have that in our future.
Absolutely. Wonderful. Yeah. And will you get LB back as a
athlete liaison officer?
Well, they didn't ask me back twice, so don't take it as a slight. Some of us have got skills, and some of us need to apply those in different areas. So I absolutely, you are the mentor to the stars, though. That needs to keep happening for sure.
Yeah. KP, thank you so much.
In and out of the water, my friend. Yeah. It's so great to have this conversation with you. Thank you for sharing your insights and your wisdom with us. It's been awesome having this chat with you.
Yeah.
No, I appreciate the opportunity.
Members, keep following the Australian Olympic team. They need us. They need us to lift them up, to believe in them, especially the Australian Paralympic team. We should be getting behind all athletes, great and small, and go Australia.
Oi, oi, oi.
From us to you, this has been a wake-up call with Kieren Perkins. We will see you next week. Toodles!
Toodles!
Have you been listening to this episode and thought, mic drop, maybe I'm ready to get coached or have some therapy, but you don't want to go all the way down and get a therapist? Welcome to the Awake Collective, where we do monthly coaching to help people feel accountable, supported, and they keep on doing the work that you hear in this podcast. It is life transformative, right, LB?
It's a community of support and like-minded people who are willing to keep investing in themselves, because what we do is we help people help themselves.
If you've enjoyed what you've heard today, then the Awake Collective is for you. So come and join us at awakeacademy.com.au and join us for monthly coaching, a community that supports you, and tools that you can use in your life to thrive. Let's go.
See you there.
Before we close, we just want to gently remind you that Awake Academy is not a licensed mental health service, and this podcast is not a substitute for personalised mental health advice, assessment, diagnosis, or treatment. What we share here is general in nature and is designed to offer reflection, insight, and practical tools for everyday life. Therapy can be life-changing, and we deeply encourage you to speak to your GP about your mental health and wellbeing options.